Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So just recently, it was released on the media that some company, some idiot company, let me just put it that way, wants to build a water park on Lake Lanier. And I cannot begin to express how absolutely not only disrespectful, but morbid that is. The only thing I can think of that's a silver lining to this is at least they didn't disrespect us this way in the month of February. They probably could have, they probably wanted to, but we're just now getting this news right now. I don't know how many times people have to put out there the horror stories that happen surrounding Lake Lanier. And what makes me angry, especially with this article that I'm referencing on the screen here, they like to label things urban legends. And I feel like that's their really disrespectful way of saying, you black people keep saying this, but we're not going to believe it, or we're not going to accept it, or we're just going to ignore it, basically. There's nothing urban legendary about people who have been literally documented to have been unalived by this lake. And it didn't happen a decade ago. It didn't happen like 2 decades ago. This was stuff that happened recently, on top of the stuff surrounding Lake Lanier and other lakes like it. All of the history of these towns that did these heinous, brutal things to black people, and they resolved the issue, and I say resolved, because that's how it looked like to them, by flooding the whole town with water and making essentially a man-made, man-created lake. It really annoys me to my core when some people out here really want to act stupid, act like they don't know, act like, oh, well, how can you be scared? This is just horror stories. Like, it's not real. You don't actually believe in ghosts. Like, it's like, how ignorant can you be? People really be on some ignorance is bliss tomfoolery. Really be out here believing that there isn't a whole spirit realm out here, that there isn't whole spirits, evil spirits that roam, demonic spirits, demonic activity. And I really do believe that that is what's going on at that lake. Allegedly, that lake alone has one of the highest, if not the highest, amount of unalivings due to drownings and boating accidents than any other lake. Allegedly, as it stands in 2024 at this moment, from 1994 to 2024, which is 30 years, there have been over 210 people who have perished because they went to that lake. And 8 out of the 40 recorded drownings that happened in Georgia just last year happened at that lake as well. According to this article, Tamika Foster, who's the ex-wife of Usher, the child that she had for him, unfortunately was unalive due to an accident at that lake in 2012. Allegedly, she asked officials to drain, clean, restore, and improve the safety measures at that lake after that accident happened. It does not take a rocket scientist to know that them people did not do as she asked, or at least I don't think that they did. And I know for a fact they're not going to, because if they did, imagine what they would uncover. Imagine what it would say about them to even want to build a water park on that property, on that lake. Once again, I just don't understand. Well, I mean, I think I might understand racism. Other than that, why anybody would want to have a large amount of people swimming around an area that has been associated with that much death. Like, I just don't understand that. Like, do they want stuff to happen to people, or do they just not care? Are they that racially insensitive to the point where they would go this far? That's kind of like saying, I wouldn't know how they would do this, but I'm just using it as an example. Hey, we're going to build a monument, a museum, or a theme park right where the Titanic sunk. Over all them people that perished down there. That massive gravesite, as I called it when we were talking about the submersible that happened not too long ago. We just gonna build something right over it that people can have fun at, right in the area, right over where all these people sank and met their untimely end. With no kind of empathy, with no kind of sensitivity, especially to the families of the people who sank and met their untimely end. Like I said before, we saw what happened to the submersible when them people tried to go down there and make this some kind of like amusement showing, if you will. Go down there to the Titanic. We saw what happened to them. Some things need to be left alone. Some things don't need to be done. And what people need to wrap their heads around as well, especially these prideful people, these pretentious people, doesn't matter how much money you have, how rich and famous you are, what your skin color is. If you try to force things to happen that shouldn't anyways, you're still going to have to deal with the consequences of trying to force it to happen, of trying to do things around places that should not be done. I'm really convinced that people either really just don't learn, or this has nothing to do with a lack of common sense and people not learning. Clearly, somewhere along the way, at some point in time, in some of these decisions, it has to be intentional. I refuse to believe that there's somebody with this much of a lack of common sense and intelligence. This has to be intentional. These have to be intentional decisions at some point in time. We all know the history of Lake Lanier. And if you don't, all you have to do is go to Google. We all know the history behind man-made lakes like Lake Lanier. And if you don't, once again, just go to Google, pick up a history book and read. We've seen and know of all the documented and recorded deaths concerning that place, and that's not even including the non-recorded, the undocumented ones. Ain't that many coincidences or coincidental events in the history of this world? Why would anybody consciously choose to go and do that with this place, to even go anywhere near there? Like I said, at some point in time, it has to be intentional. These people in the Twitter comments are saying what I'm trying to say without saying it. If you are a praying person, if you have a serious and genuine relationship with God, and you know you have the kind of relationship with Him where that scripture, the prayers of the righteous avail it much, actually applies to you, you need to start sending up prayers right now for all them people that's going to flock to this water park, because I believe this is a disaster in the making. This is a disaster before we're about to see it become one. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think about all of this and how y'all feel down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.